All right, I guess to get us started, so we stay close to time. I assume, Angela, you're going to start with the introduction?
Definitely. So thanks, Carrie, and thanks for allowing me to join you today. It's truly an honor to take part in this event as part of National Engineering Month. And certainly this is a very important topic. So when I reflect on my last 22 years with Enbridge Gas and how I got to where I am today, I know it's due to mentorship and sponsorship. So just to give you a little background about myself, I'm from New Brunswick. I was the first person in my family, extended family, to go to university, and therefore the first and still only engineer. When I started on this path, I really had no vision of what my career would be, only was looking at following my interests in math and sciences, and looking for the ability to work with teams and solve problems. So when I graduated and began working, my focus was on developing my technical expertise, as well as becoming a professional engineer. And then that really evolved into a goal to become a technical expert. And at that time, I had no interest or intention to become a people leader. I will tell you that since that time, things have changed dramatically. I'm now in my 5th manager role. So obviously things did change. Early on in my career, I had a number of technical experts, which took the time to educate myself. I'm a geological engineer with no background to the natural gas industry. And, spending a lot of time with them helped me not only learn the basics, but to also develop advanced technical knowledge in several areas. One of my technical mentors was known for what he called fireside chats, where you had to pull up your chair and sit back when you would ask a question and you just wanted a yes/no answer. This would turn into a 2-hour-long session of giving you all the background you could ever think to know about the topic. And then at the end, him asking, so what's the answer? As much as that was sometimes a little painful, really his mentorship really led to developing that technical expertise I have today, which is invaluable. Another thing I would say is that really helped me develop into a senior engineer, and that led me to initiate and lead multi-billion-dollar programs with little oversight on behalf of the company. During that time, I had several different managers, but one sticks out as a true mentor and sponsor. She took the time and interest to give me feedback I didn't always want to hear, but needed to hear to help become a respected and competent female engineer. Even after she changed roles, she was often there to give me the time to discuss my challenges and offer solutions, and to this day still takes interest in what I'm up to. About 11 years into my career, my manager got a new job, and while his role was vacant, I organized team meetings and tracked progress on deliverables. And it was through this situation that my director saw my leadership skills and offered me the manager role, which was my first hint to sponsorship. Since that time, I've had multiple sponsors and mentors that have helped shape my career to where it is now. And today I lead a team of about 60 people, where I have several supervisors that report to me. And, I do reflect that I've had 7 different jobs since 2001. And 2001 was the only one I ever applied for. So it's been mentorship and sponsorship, which really moved me around to all the different roles in the organization. So today, I'm kind of in the second half of my career. My focus is on sponsoring and mentoring others, the next generation of problem solvers and leaders, and I get joy from helping others succeed. So in closing, I've just got a few points of advice to you for all of you. So it's going to be 5 quick things. First, you have to be your own advocate. If you don't believe in yourself, how could anyone else? So it took me a long time to really feel comfortable to say, you know what, I'm great in this area. But you definitely have to work on that to make sure others see what you already know about yourself. Number two, find your people, the ones that you can confide in and the ones that will tell you when you're wrong, but pump you up when you need it. Number three, seek out those who you admire 1 or 2 levels above you and ask them to mentor you. One of my best mentors was one I was honestly scared to be around because I didn't want to say anything wrong. But I did get up the courage to ask her to mentor me, and it really helped me become the person I am today. She was a terrific mentor. Number four, in my opinion, sponsorship has to come from a relationship. So don't walk up to someone and say, hey, can you be my sponsor? Focus on being ask them to be your mentor first, develop a relationship so they can see what your strengths are and they can advocate for you at tables on what you're good at. And my last comment is to stay grounded. So I think we all know that people get the promotion and their head gets a little bit bigger. But I just want to reinforce that you need to stay grounded because it all goes back to sponsorship and mentorship. If someone thinks that you're perhaps acting a little arrogant after a promotion, that might change your sponsorship and mentorship going forward. So those are a few quick thoughts. Looking forward to the session today, and thanks again for the opportunity. Have a great day.
All right. Thanks so much, Angela. Really, really great stories, and all your points are really, really wonderful. They actually relate really tightly to the presentation I'll be doing today. So I'm going to get started and with, I guess, the formal part of our presentation. So welcome, everyone. My name is Carrie Voss, and I'm a volunteer board member with the Canadian Centre for Women in Science, Engineering, Trades and Technology, also known as WINSET Centre. Thank you so much for joining today for my session on the importance of mentors and sponsors. And please feel free to use the chat at any time to ask questions or provide comments. I will try to watch the chat. And I just noticed there was one in there, and I do believe the presentation is available afterwards. I believe they keep a recording of it available. So that is my understanding, at least. So I will try to monitor it as well. And also I do have some points where we will have a little bit of engagement, just because I don't know, I didn't know the numbers or who would be joining us. Most of it is just asking for responses in the chat. So of course, if you need to keep your camera off and your sound off and stuff like that, we don't have to worry about those technical issues, but we'll have opportunity to share some information moving forward. So, there we go, there's my slide. So first of all, I would like to start with land acknowledgement. As a national organization, WINSET respectfully recognizes we live and work on the traditional and unceded territories of the many Indigenous nations and First Peoples throughout Canada. At WINSET, we strive for respectful partnerships with all the peoples of this country as we search for collective healing and true reconciliation and honor this beautiful land together. So I'm joining you today from Edmonton, which is Treaty 6 territory, the ancestral and traditional territory of the Cree, Dene, Blackfoot, Saulteaux, Nakota Sioux, as well as the Métis. At this point, I invite you to acknowledge the land where you're joining us by sharing in the chat. And I was going to mention, I think someone has their mic on. Perfect, thank you. Oh, you got someone from Ottawa. I was suspecting we would see a lot of people from Ontario. Oh, also Ottawa, Treaty 7. Windsor. Toronto. Chatham, Ontario. Wonderful. Thank you everyone for sharing. What I'll do is we'll move ahead now, and I'm going to share the agenda for this session. So our topic is on mentors and sponsors, and we're going to start with getting into what is mentorship and sponsorship and the difference between them. We're going to talk about why mentorship and sponsorship is important. We're then going to get into clarifying your own career goals, and then identifying and connecting with appropriate mentors and sponsors. And also we're going to end with talking about creating opportunities for yourself to connect with mentors and sponsors. So the first thing we'll look at is mentorship. So who are mentors and what do they do? So a mentor can be an advisor, a teacher, a resource, a role model. Often they offer advice, provide perspective and constructive criticism. They can be a career developer. They can be internal or external to your organization. In the mentorship relationship, that can work both ways. You may have multiple mentors for different aspects of your career and life outside of work, like Angela did in the intro, really great examples of how you can have many mentors and how they change as well as you move along through your career. And they will change as your career changes. So in the chat, what kind of qualities would you look for in a mentor? Like, what do you think makes a good mentor? Oh, someone you can trust. That's a great one. Definitely. I think it's important they trust you too. Someone you can understand where you struggle, right? So someone perhaps that has similar challenges or has had similar challenges. Yes, and reinforcing the trust for sure. And of course, trust you want both ways. You want them to trust you and you need to trust them. Good listener. Excellent point. Someone who listens well and doesn't assume their frame will work for a different other. So that is really, really important. To having someone that understands and sees the differences between your situations and their situations. So like we've mentioned, you want someone who can understand. We want someone who has knowledge, expertise. And one other thing that's some other things that are important as well. Invested in your success, that's really great as well. And someone who doesn't take the relationship lightly and is willing to invest the time is very important. And I think Angela mentioned this in one of her examples of a mentor, someone who will challenge you as well and will be there to support you, like someone who's going to try to push you to achieve success in your career. And of course, they need to be willing to commit the time needed to build and maintain the relationship. So if we move now into the sponsorship relationship, so I would say mentorship has been around a fair bit, like it's a term that I think we're fairly familiar with. Sponsors is a little bit different and I would say more new to the professional environment. So, and they are also a bit trickier. And so what you can expect from a sponsor may be less familiar than you would with a mentor. So sponsors are focused more on your advancement and their role is based on their power. So choosing a sponsor would be different than choosing a mentor. So a mentor will provide advice where a sponsor invests. So as an example, a mentor might advise you that you should get on an organizing committee for a conference, that they think that this would be a good move for you professionally and maybe help you develop some confidence. A sponsor would recommend you to the committee chair. So there's someone that has authority and power to not just suggest you do something, but they actually have the connections to help make those things happen. And so you can see by the examples on the slide that advice from sponsors is more targeted and actionable. It's more about advancing you professionally, not just developing you professionally, I guess you could say. There's someone who can speak up for you in decision-making opportunities and can help you achieve strategic opportunities in your career. And they often connect you with key people and improve your visibility within an organization. And typically they are internal to your organization. So that's where some of the differences, they tend to be someone who has to be in an authority and also typically are within your organization. So in the chat, if you could provide, what qualities do you think would you look for in a sponsor? Connected, definitely. Similar career path connections, that would make sense for sure. Connected in my area of interest. So definitely when you're looking, if you are seeking a sponsorship relationship, it's a little bit different than a mentor. Mentor, you can usually go broader, and someone now that can give you sort of broader information and support. Now we're starting to kind of focus in a little bit more into your specific goals. And certainly just to touch on some of the points here in the chat, someone higher in the org structure, likely someone who has more influence than you, that they can help move you up within your organization. And a great point here by Cassandra, someone who puts ego aside and wants the best for you in your career, which is a really big one too, because you need someone not only that has the authority, but someone who's willing to kind of bring you up. And essentially they're putting, in some ways, can be putting some of their interests aside. Now they're looking at helping you. So if we're looking at comparing the two, and just looking at some of the, can look through this table, really a mentor is provides a chance for you to learn, whereas looking at a sponsor, they're going to provide a chance for you to shine. Mentors provide an opportunity for you to share, and then a sponsor is more so on the side of trying to provide chances for you to be promoted or brought forward for opportunities. A mentor works on building your confidence. A sponsor is essentially now using their confidence and your confidence to move you up, and can buffer you against risk in terms of moving you, helping moving you up instead of you working on it on your own. Focuses on development with mentors, so a lot of it is based on learning, whereas the sponsors, they're using their leverage to move you up. So now that we've talked about mentors and sponsors, I just want to do a little bit of a pulse check here. Does everyone feel comfortable with the two terms and how they differ? I guess I'm trying to think. I don't use Zoom that often. I'm trying to see if is there a thumbs up or something that you can provide. I'm used to using Teams. If there's something you're not sure of, certainly feel free to mention it in the chat. Otherwise, we'll keep moving along. I don't see any concerns, so we're going to move on to the next. So just a way to sum it up, I guess, in one sentence is a mentor is someone who has knowledge and will share it with you. A sponsor is a person who has power and will use it for you. So now that I've kind of discussed mentorship and sponsorship sort of as polar opposites, not that they're completely opposite, but one, we've spoken about them as mentor as a very specific, someone who's more of a supportive or coaching role. And when we look at a sponsor, we're looking at someone who is actually fighting for you and helping you move up in an organization. What I'd like to discuss a little bit now that we've kind of separated the two, I'd like to talk about sort of it as a spectrum. So what you need from someone might be actually somewhere in the middle. So we often think of these two roles as separate, and a lot of articles and a lot of, when you look it up, talk about mentorship versus sponsorship. But I think sometimes what we need isn't one or the other. It's maybe something in the middle, depending on where we are in our career or what we're looking for. So I really like this diagram. It's from a Harvard Business Review article, and I adapted it a little, but if we think of mentorship at one side, so providing the advice, support, and coaching, and we think of the sponsor, they use the term advocate in this article, someone who publicly will advocate and fight for you, we can now look at in the middle as a spectrum. So you could be looking for someone who's a strategizer, so someone who can share information about advancing. Maybe you're looking for a connector, someone to make introductions, talk you up with their connections, help you make more connections as well to improve your network. And then there's the opportunity giver, so someone who can help provide a high visibility opportunity. So we don't necessarily need someone right at either to be the coach or maybe necessarily to be like someone who's fighting for you, but maybe it's something in the middle that you're looking for. So we're going to change now that we've talked about mentors and sponsors and then a little bit of the spectrum. I'd like to discuss why they're important to you in your career. So Angela brought up some really great points at the beginning in the intro, and I just want to refer to if you take the time and look up mentors and sponsors, this is a study that comes up a lot, one that was conducted by Sun Microsystems, and they studied the effects of mentorship in their organization, and these were some of the results. So according to their study, employees who received mentoring were 20% more likely to get a raise than their peers, as well as 5 times more likely to be promoted. So certainly not everything in your career is about money and advancement, but they are still important. If you are interested in progressing in your career, having the right support can affect how effectively you progress. And of course, it doesn't mean that you need to have a mentor or a sponsor to progress, but certainly there may be ways that they can help you either through providing support, help you see areas that maybe you could be developed in, or actually being that person to help provide opportunities for you to be promoted or have more experience in a variety of areas. I also want to provide some information as to why mentorship and sponsorship are important to women in the workplace. So I looked up some recent information, and this is the McKinsey Women in the Workplace report from 2022. I'm going to give just a moment, instead of reading it out loud, I'm just going to give a moment for everyone to read through it. So hopefully everyone had a chance to just read through those. But as we know, mentorship and sponsorship can benefit everyone, but it's even more important for women in the workplace who maybe already have a variety of barriers which require them to work harder to advance professionally. So if we're, again, looking at the engineering perspective for women, obviously a lot less women in those workplaces, and depending where you are on the spectrum in terms of other things that can also influence and make it more difficult for you to advance or get sponsorship or mentorship opportunities. So although this presentation is typically geared towards women in science, engineering, trades, and technology, so WINSET provides presentations and leadership opportunities typically for women in all set careers, I thought I would add a slide just about why mentorship is important for engineering. This was some information I found from the Engineering Management Institute that was specific to mentorship in engineering. And I would say these points aren't limited to the engineering career by any means. It's still important to introduce these. And for those of you who are in the engineering careers, just to keep in mind that having someone with more experience can help you grow faster. It can hold you accountable, increase your chance of getting a raise or promotion. They can offer feedback and help guide you towards your goals and provide encouragement. So I would say although these aren't super specific to engineering, but they are points that have been mentioned in terms of the engineering careers and why it would be important. So again, I would like to see if you could put in the chat, why would having a mentor or sponsor be important to you in your career at this time? Oh my gosh, some to hone technical skills for sure. Helpful for career transition, certainly. It would be great to have someone to help you if you're moving, if you're transitioning through your career opportunities. Help identify future opportunities, areas for growth, certainly. Sometimes it's nice to have someone, you don't know what you don't know, and talking to someone who might have experience or know other opportunities for you. Jobs with different skills. Again, certainly if you're working in an area and you would like to move into another one to advance your career, certainly finding someone who is from that area can certainly help you. Avoid pitfalls, for sure. In terms of actually making your moves more effectively and more efficiently, it's great to have someone who has the advice that can help you make these changes or move through your career a little bit more effectively. Oops, sorry, I hit that really fast. So the next thing we're going to talk about is leadership core competencies. So we've talked about mentors and sponsors and why they're important, but now we're going to talk about your career goals and leadership. So now we're shifting a little bit. We know what mentors and sponsors are. We have a little bit of an idea of why you would want to pursue that type of relationship professionally. And now let's talk about leadership and how this sort of relates to mentors and sponsors. So this diagram on the screen provides a list of competencies that are important for leaders. So this is not exhaustive by any means, but it provides a framework of what we could expect in a good leader. So I'll just walk through a few of these. So a good leader may be a strategic thinker. So someone who is innovative, a problem solver, good at planning, a skilled manager, someone who's good at project management, people management, time management, someone who can lead others. So they're a good communicator, they're engaging, inspiring, they build effective relationships, and someone that lives their values. So someone who's credible and trustworthy and is self-aware. So all of these are, I would say we can agree, are important for a leader, but not necessarily important when we're looking for a mentor or a sponsor, or maybe not as important. They're not necessarily the skills that we're trying to hone in for when we're looking for someone in this type of relationship. So if we take out ones that I would say maybe are a little bit more operational and not necessarily towards looking at skills that are there to help skills and competencies, these are the ones that you're looking for a sponsor or mentor to help you develop. So a lot of the other ones, of course, important for being a skilled leader, but when you want a mentor or sponsor, you want someone who has these types of competencies and can help you develop these types of skills. So finance was one of the things we'll say as an example under skilled manager. So financial acumen is important as a leader, but it isn't the type of support you would look for in a mentor necessarily. There's other ways you can learn budgeting or get financial skills. So you could take a course. It's not necessarily something you would look for in a mentorship or sponsorship relationship. Instead, when you're finding a mentor or sponsor who can help you build, maybe you want to build effective relationships. So you're trying to increase your network, or you just want to improve your relationships with people who can help you in your profession. That would be something that maybe you would look for a mentor or a sponsor for, because it may be something that's more difficult to learn otherwise. You need someone who knows your organization and has those connections. So in the chat, if you could indicate other competencies, if you can think of some others that you feel would also be useful qualities in a mentor or sponsor. And of course, if everything you can think of is here, that's good too. Empathy, understanding. Oh, that's really good. Definitely, I think that's one that's important too. What is, information under skilled manager? Someone who good at managing information. So these ones were more like managing people, managing projects, managing information. I would say these ones are more of the operational type of skills. But of course, someone who's good at managing people and information, also important if you're looking for a mentorship and sponsorship relationship. So definitely the empathy and understanding is one that has resonated, and awareness of own identity and privilege for sure. And that could come under a little bit under the self-aware as well. Sort of lends towards that one, but definitely someone who has those skills. All right, so once you know the type of competencies you would like to develop and are the ones that are important for your mentor or sponsor to have, you need to determine what type of support and direction you want or need. So this is all kind of honing in and helping you determine where you're going to find the right mentor or sponsor, or help you find them. So this requires a little bit of looking within. So you need to think about where you want to go professionally. Think about your skills and passions. If you're, again, I know it mentions values here. If you're not sure of your values or how to list your top 5 core values, there's different tools you can use online to help you hone into those if you want to be able to identify them. In terms of, you need to look at whether or not what it is, do you want a mentor or is it a sponsor that you seek? So, and this came up earlier as well, it may take a while to develop a relationship to get someone to be your sponsor. So a sponsor may be your ultimate goal, but you may need to think of someone that maybe is somewhere else on the spectrum. So maybe it's a mentor that you work with that either helps you when you move forward into a sponsorship relationship, or maybe it's someone who's a connector that can help you find someone who can act as a sponsor. So you need to think of in terms of long-term and how you're going to work towards these relationships, because even a mentorship relationship requires trust, and you need to get to know each other for that to be an effective relationship. And so also it's important to set a career action plan. So you want to set up goals that are, like it says, measurable, achievable, relevant, and time bound. And this actually helps you provide this to your mentor or sponsor as well. So if you've set this out, it provides something you can share with them so they understand what your goals and the type of timelines, and maybe help you hone that and work out something that they think that they can help you achieve. So once you've identified what type of mentorship and sponsorship relationship you are seeking, and remember, it doesn't have to be either or, your needs may fall somewhere within that spectrum, you need to ensure you're prepared to enter this type of relationship. So this is, again, sort of looking at yourself. So you've looked at yourself and what your goals are and what type of relationship that you think you would like to enter into. You need to make sure that you are prepared for this type of relationship. So a mentor or sponsor can only respond to and support what you give to the relationship. So typically I want to refer to these as mentee driven, because you usually think mentee and mentor. I don't think if sponsee is a word, or sponsory, essentially someone who is in the side that is receiving the support. You need to be prepared in advance to make this relationship work, and beneficial for both of you as well, because in these relationships, the mentor or sponsor also gets things out of it too. So you want to be clear about your career goals. So thinking about the last slide, making sure you set up where you would like to go and how you want to get there, and what your needs and wants are. You need to be open and receptive to learning and trying new ideas. So as an example, let's say you meet with a mentor and you discuss a situation where you need to have a difficult conversation with a coworker. And so the two of you sit together, work out a system, talk through how you're going to have this difficult conversation. And then you and your mentor meet 2 weeks later and you decided not to do it. So that's not necessarily being open and receptive to learning and trying new ideas. So if you want to work effectively with your mentor, you need to commit to actually actioning the ideas and trying new things that may be outside of your comfort zone. And of course, you need to be ready, willing, and able to meet on a regular basis. So we talk about, and we'll talk about this a little bit further, you need to find a mentor or sponsor who has the time for you, but you need to also have the time and be willing to meet as well regularly. So looking for now, identifying and connecting with a senior individual within your profession. So now that you've identified what you want, now you need to make sure you pick the right person. So we're going to look at what to look for in a mentor, as well as we'll look at what to look for in a sponsor. So this one is specific to a mentor relationship. So you want someone who has skill in developing others, someone who has been a mentor to others, or you've heard has been a mentor, or you know that they are mentoring other people. You certainly can see if they have the time and availability to support you as well. The availability is really important. So someone who is senior and let's say has a leadership style that you admire, and you admire where they are working now, maybe a really, really great role model for you. It doesn't necessarily mean they're able and available to commit the time and energy. So that's a big part of it too. This came up in one of the comments earlier, but someone who's willing to share failures. And so someone who is willing to be honest and open about their experience. You want someone who not only shares their successes and how wonderful and great their trajectory has been, but you want to understand where they've made mistakes and how they can help you learn from some of the things that didn't work well for them. and having someone who is current and relevant in your industry. So again, like as we said, with the mentor, they don't necessarily have to be from your organization. And if you do find someone who is a mentor that's outside of your org, you still want them to be current and understand the industry you're in so they can help you. And of course, organizational knowledge is helpful too, particularly if it's a sponsor. You want someone who has a good understanding of your organization and can help you navigate through it. If we look at the sponsor relationship, and we've alluded to this several times, that it can often be more challenging. So you want to connect with someone who can recommend you for new roles, but it may take time to develop that type of relationship. So if it is a sponsorship relationship that you are interested in, you need to remember that you may not be able to enter that immediately due to what the sponsor needs from you and what they need to understand about you. It's not something that necessarily can happen immediately. So remembering the list on the spectrum, you may need to work with someone who is a connector or maybe who is a mentor, and you move up into a sponsorship situation with them, or maybe there's someone that can help you connect with someone who is a sponsor or that can become a sponsor for you. And it just takes time to develop that level of trust. So if you think of the relationships, a mentor will offer support and offer suggestions, but if you're hoping for someone who can actually advocate for you, they're putting themselves at risk as well. So you need someone who believes in your character and competence. They have to have the ability and willingness to look for opportunities for you. So they have to be a position they have to be a person in a position that can help you find those opportunities. And typically they have to be in a position of authority. They have to have evidence of your capabilities. So then you have to develop that relationship so that they can speak for you and recommend you without reservation. So those types of having someone like that does take time. And quite often there are times where someone may act as a sponsor for you, just to mention that sometimes you don't need let's say an official mentorship or sponsorship relationship. Someone you work with may also already work as a mentor to you. Someone may be senior that you work with, and someone may act as a sponsor for you without, again, having an official sponsor relationship. There could be a situation that someone senior you work with is currently, and you may not even realize it, advocating for you because they do believe in your character and your competence and feels that they can recommend you. So finding a mentor or sponsor may take time and may seem daunting, but if you wait to be asked, it may never happen. The last thing I'd like to talk about is creating opportunities, because often many of us don't work in organizations that provide opportunities. I know a lot of large companies have mentorship programs, or you might belong to your professional organizations may also provide mentorship opportunities, but sometimes they just don't have the type of opportunity you're looking for, or your organization is smaller and you just don't have these built-in supports that can help you. So you may be the one that has to actually seek out these opportunities or create opportunities for yourself. It's not always easy to develop these relationships. And so these are sometimes some ways that you can make steps towards working towards these opportunities. So just some of the ideas that I have here: volunteer to arrange a team-based virtual networking or lunch and learn event and invite senior leaders to present and participate. So if your organization maybe has senior staff and you have other staff at your level who would like to learn from seniors in your organization, maybe it's something that you just have to take the initiative and put something together yourself. Maybe putting something where you can either get together virtually and you can arrange to have like a panel discussion with senior leaders to talk about their experiences. And it's a way for you to get to meet them and engage. Maybe you're in a situation where you don't get to meet a lot of senior leaders just due to your role. It might be an opportunity for you, if you're organizing this event on behalf of staff, for you to actually make those connections and then possibly be able to follow up and move into maybe more of a mentorship type of role. Outside of that, attending virtual conferences or networking events. So this would be a perfect example of attending an event where you could potentially connect with other people or learn about other organizations that have opportunities. Signing up for email distribution lists. So again, when you go to conferences or networking events, or even if you're just doing searches to look for organizations that maybe have networking opportunities, there's lots of different organizations that have mentorship programs that are specific maybe to your interests. Take the time to learn about them, maybe sign up for some different opportunities and see if you can find something that fits or helps you connect with an appropriate individual. With doing all this, just as a reminder, do ensure your LinkedIn profile is up to date or set one up if you don't have one yet already. And make sure your social media platforms reflect the image you want to project. Because of course, anyone that you do meet may take the time to look you up and look you up professionally. And so you want to make sure that all these things are reflecting the image that you want to project professionally. And the other item is still work on developing your skills. There are things that mentors and sponsors can help you with and certainly can help you progress. But there are things that obviously taking courses, like we talked about budgeting, things like that. Or if there's other courses that or other skills that courses can help you develop, then you should look into those as well. So take time to see if there's some online and training courses. And sometimes through doing those, if they actually are synchronous, you actually make connections in those too. I know some of them are online and sort of self-driven ones that you walk through yourself. But if you do have the chance to take courses that allow you to meet other people in your network, those are great too. Another way to meet other people and maybe help you find other people in your network that can support you. Other thing I was just going to mention is use virtual coffee meetings to connect. So that's one of the wonderful things of having all these online platforms now. We're not limited by who we can meet quickly during a lunch hour or carve out a meeting in the middle of our day and include travel and that. Now with being able to virtually connect, it really allows you to connect with people outside of your organization or in your organization, but maybe that work at a different site than you. You can meet people from all over and have use virtual coffee meetings to connect. So if you end up in a sponsorship relationship or a mentor relationship where it's not easy to meet face-to-face, you still have all these other online options that are really great. So now that I've gone through these ideas, does anyone have any other ideas of how to connect and develop your skills? And just waiting a moment to see if anyone has anything to add. Or is there anything on here that particularly resonates with you? Something either you've tried or you would like to try? All right, I don't see anything added to the chat. Oh, discuss with your leader. That's important too, like to actually talk to your leader and see if they can make recommendations for a connection. Thanks for putting that in, which is true. Actually talking to the leaders in your area already, whether or not they're an appropriate mentor or sponsor for you, can definitely help you connect. So using individuals that you already have connections with is really a really great option. So that takes me to the end of my presentation. I'd like to really thank all of you so much for joining me today. I just want to take a moment to share a few words about WINSET, the organization that I'm part of. So the WINSET Center develops and delivers professional development tailored to early and mid-career female engineering, science, trades, and technology professionals and the people with whom they work. There are two components to the WINSET Center leadership program. We have full-day workshops and 90-minute skill builders. The workshops are offered in, the full-day workshops are offered in person, and the workshops are offered in person typically to women only. The skill builders are offered online or in person and are open to all genders. Some of the topics we discuss include mentorship and sponsorship, but other topics such as difficult conversations, navigating workplace politics, and working with challenging people. These sessions are highly interactive and engaging and based on research and best practice. So if you are interested in connecting with us, you can always check out our website at windset.ca. Connect with us on LinkedIn as well to learn about some of the events we're involved with, and as well as we post information about our sessions that are up and coming. And of course, if you do have questions about any of the work we do, if you visit our website or you'd like to learn more about Windset, please email us at info@windset.ca. And so I'm just going to walk through our partner slides. And our last one is the advocate partners. All right. Well, thank you everyone for joining. If you have any questions or anything you'd like to discuss, we did end a bit early at 10. For me, it's 10:46. I realize it's 12:46 for you. So you have a little bit more of your lunch hour if you are in Ontario. But thank you so much, and please connect with us.